Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Williams. This is my ID to verify. All right, so today we're going to be having a discussion talking about how aggression is increased due to this TV, different media platforms, i.e., video games, just violent movies, whatever the case might be, how aggression is increased. So how I want to start it off was first by just giving the definition out of the book. You can go to page 298, chapter 10, and it says, aggression is a physical or verbal behavior intended to cause harm. This definition excludes unintentional harm such as auto accidents or sidewalk collisions. It also excludes actions that may involve pain as an unavoidable side effect for helping someone, such as dental treatments or, in extreme cases, assisted suicide. I just want to give a basic definition of aggression because I know different people have their own definition behind aggression. I just want to kind of give a book version of what they had. So how I'm going to start is start talking about the task force, the 1992 APA task force on television provided guidelines for parents to help regulate their viewing habits and try to limit how much aggression, how to help parents limit how much aggression their kids were having. So first one was maintain activity time charting, including TV viewing, playing with friends, and homework. Discuss what to eliminate and its substitute. So for me, the maintain activities time charting, I felt that was a little counterproductive due to the fact that I know parents probably have a lot going on each day, whether you're working or whatever the case might be, and I don't feel like your kids would ever be alone to where, I mean, unless your kids are older, but people usually generally are in the house when their kids are watching TV or whatever the case might be. I feel like in order to substitute that, maybe have your kids have a system to where they either you have the remotes and they have to come to you before they're able to access their TVs, so that way you're aware that they're in the process of starting to watch something. Playing with friends. I completely support playing with friends because I feel like if your kids are out doing things, it takes their mind away from, oh, let me just sit and watch TV. Like your kids tend to want to be experiences and playing sports with their friends, and you're drawing down how much time they're sitting there watching TV. And then homework. Of course, homework is standard, especially in this day and age, especially with the pandemic going on. Kids, it's even harder now for parents to monitor that due to the fact that their kids are always at home in some states. I know some states, they're kind of starting to do the half learning at home, half in school. I know for Washington State, all kids are still staying home with their parents. So now it's parents trying to juggle between watching their kids, making sure they do their homework, and then when their kids don't have homework, trying to work and manage what their kids are watching, it can be difficult. I would just say, in that case, if your kids are working at home and you're trying to make sure they're doing their homework, they can do their homework, maybe possibly limiting, having a timer set for your TV to what they can watch and when would probably help as far as relieve some of the parents' headache of having to physically be there to check what their kids are watching. Next, also, sorry, I wanted to give a side note on how much TV kids actually are watching, which is crazy because I didn't know it was this much. So let me find out where I have it. Sorry. Okay, so this is I'm gonna put my reference down in my discussion if you guys want to look at it. This is actually a great site. This is the ncbi.gov. It's a good little site. They kind of gave how aggression, what it is, the violence from TV, television, films, and video games, and it kind of breaks down. But I'm just giving a little fact for how much TV kids actually watch. So it says children in the United States spend an average between 3 to 4 hours per day viewing television, and the best studies have shown that over 60% of the programs contain some violence and about 40% of those contain heavy violence. Children are also spending an increasingly large amount of time playing video games, most of which contain violence. Video game units are now present in 30% of homes with children. So just based off that, that's if you look at how much time. So even if your kid's doing 3 hours of television each day, 3 times, let's just say Monday through Friday, 3 times 5, that's 15 hours. So 15 hours your kids are actually watching TV. That's just for a 5-day period. So if you want to do 7 days, that's 21 hours that your kids are watching TV when they could be doing other extracurricular activities, i.e. playing outside, going out with friends. I just wanted to kind of show how much television is a big impact in kids' life, teenagers, even in adults' life. That's how much we watch it. And just the fact that almost 83% of homes in the United States actually contain some form of video games, whether it's an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, computer. And if you look at a company's perspective, they're making more money off of it, but they also look at it like this is also causing kids to, and a lot of studies, if you look at the game Fortnite that came out, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, Fortnite, there was kids to the point where they were playing so long that they were not even eating, not even going to the bathroom, not even doing homework, sleep deprived, and it just shows how much like games nowadays, video games, have a real impact on kids, adults, teenagers, growing all the way through. And I know Fortnite, they had a lot of kickback for how much people were playing the games, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the household of what you're allowing your kids to play. So next, the second one is establish a weekly viewing limit. Have your child select programs from television schedules at the beginning of the week. Assign points to specify programs and give a point total for the week. Less desirable programs may cost more to watch. So establish a weekly viewing limit. I think that would be a great way to alleviate some of the pains of your kids coming up. I also think kids are kids. I think they're going to come if they want to watch TV and they're not doing anything, or it's a rainy day and they can't go outside. I think kids, regardless, are still going to come and try to watch something. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that I don't know. I feel like that'd be more work for weekly viewing limits. I think you should just set it to like, hey, look, this month, you're gonna watch a certain amount of hours TV, and I think it falls down to maybe on a day-to-day basis, maybe. So it might be a little work if you were to do just to establish a day-to-day basis. Whether it's you wake up and your kids are brushing teeth, and you're like, hey, look, you get 2 or 3 hours of TV today, and that's it, all right, and you go from there. Having child select programs from television schedules at the beginning of the week. I feel like it's not a bad idea. Due to the fact that you have at least an idea of what your kids watch, and you're not just, okay, you can watch TV for 3 hours, and once 3 hours is up, you just go and cut the TV off. At least you can do your own research as parents, and see what they're watching, and possibly do some research to know, like, okay, that is why my kid might be showing a little bit more aggression, or whatever the case might be. Assign points to specific programs and give a point for a total for the week. Less desirable programs may cost more to watch. I feel like if you have to have, I feel like taking out the less desirable programs may cost more, because if you know that it's a violent show or a movie or it's a violent video game, you don't want your kids to watch it, just don't allow your kids to watch it. I don't feel like trying to make them get more points to watch that is really helping them. And all the thing you're teaching them is work hard for something that you're not supposed to be watching. And that's also ties into your parents, parents and kids and how they're brought up. Because I know for me, I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of stuff till I got about 14 or 15 years old. So some parents, they might be busy, they might be a single parent, and they might not have the time to sit there and actually go through and do a point system and have to every week sit there and monitor. Some parents might have 2 or 3 kids, and they just have one older kid that kind of watches the other kids, and they just, hey, I'm going to work, this is what you guys do, this is your food, and then the older kid usually ends up watching it. That's at least for me, because I was the oldest out of 4 children. So I know that my mom was gone, and I would just be the one that had the house, kind of just making sure everybody was good, no one did nothing crazy, everybody was safe. So that point system, I feel like that can be time consuming, but it's not a bad idea if you have the time to be able to do it. Rule out TV at certain times. And third one, rule out TV at certain times, meal times or school nights. I I completely agree with the meal times. Family time is a good time for you to catch up and see how your kid's doing. Like, and see if your kid's having a good week. So meal times, everybody gather around for dinner, breakfast, whatever the case might be. You can sit there and at least talk to your kid, and that might help them release some of the aggression that they might be feeling towards you or someone at school or whatever the case might be. At least they'll be able to open up and enjoy a meal and take their mind off the violence or whatever aggression or whatever tendencies they might be feeling. And then school nights is absolutely, I mean, school nights kids should be focusing on school. That's clear as day. I mean, school nights, if you want to limit to school nights, or maybe just after you finish your homework, then you can watch TV on a school night. I feel like that'd probably be more reasonable, just because some kids might not have too much homework and they might be just sitting there bored. And then that's when you can, I guess, go back to the first one and factor in playing with friends or doing extracurricular activities, which would help. So that right there, again, falls on the parents. If you want to just limit the school nights, me personally, I would just, whenever my kid was finished with homework, I would check over his homework, maybe talk about his homework, talk about what he has planned for tomorrow, and then I'd probably let him watch TV. And then I would set a time, maybe at the end of the day, that I would cut off the TV, so that there's no, you get a regular schedule of like, okay, I'm gonna watch my TV. I know my mom and dad's not gonna let me watch TV past 8:30, because at 8:30 I have to then go brush my teeth, take a shower, get ready for bed, and that's it. Once you start getting them on a regular schedule, I think that would kind of start to work for itself. You would eventually get the payout, because kids would just start to fall into that rotation and keep on. Okay, encourage the entire family to have a program choice before turning the TV on. That's also, I believe that's pretty beneficial, considering that a lot of two of us might be wanting to watch the same things. So everybody might not want to watch a violent movie or whatever the case might be. Sometimes we might just want to watch some comedy. So giving everybody a chance to at least say what they might want to watch might help influence your child or teenager that might want to watch something violent. Maybe it might change his mind into believing that, okay, you know what, maybe I'll watch the comedy instead of watching a violent movie about whatever it is. It might just change his mind that day, and he might just say, okay, I'll watch comedy, and go about it like that. Remember that you provide a model. Number 5, remember that you provide a model. If you watch lots of TV, chances are your child will too. I completely agree with that. If you compare it to even like some parents, they don't believe in giving their kids soda or juice until they're almost 10 years old. If a kid doesn't receive that, if they don't ever taste that, or say it when it comes to soda, if I've never had soda, I'm never gonna want soda, because I never actually had it. I might see people have it, and then that might influence me to want to try it. But if I never physically had the soda before, I'm not gonna know what I'm missing. So if you're putting a TV in front of a child at a young age, and you're leaving, and then whatever that kid's watching, kids soak up all that information is being soaked up into their mind, all that, and it's all influencing the kid on how what they're gonna want, what they like, what TV shows they like to watch, movies they like to watch. All that starts to be soaked in, almost like a sponge, into a kid's mind. So I completely agree with that. If you don't watch TV all the time, and you are just you watch TV, like I said, do everything in moderation. Obviously, you watch TV an hour or two a day. I don't feel like that's wrong, but if you start to watch TV, I mean, it's not like you can watch TV and your kid not watch TV. You want to kind of, watch it when you want to watch it, and if you want your kids to watch it at a young age, that's completely up to the parents. In monitoring the violence children see, the report is just that that's parents. Number 6 is a cutoff. Number 7, watch at least one episode of the programs that children watch to know its frequency and degree of violence. And yet that number 7 ties into, for me, it would tie into maybe at dinner time when you're sitting there talking about how the day was, whatever it is, and your kid might ask, I want to watch this tonight. watching that, actually giving their kid a chance to watch whatever, watch it with them, I feel like it opens your mind up to know, okay, what is my kid watching? What has influenced my kid to want to do this, and what has influenced my kid to want to be this, and what's influencing him? So I feel like it's a great idea to watch it, and at least you'll be aware of what your kids are watching while you might not be there, or while you're distracted doing whatever the case might be. You at least will know. When viewing violence, number 8, when viewing violence together, discuss why it occurs, how painful it is, ask how the conflict can be resolved without aggression, explain how violence programs is faked, encourage children to watch programs with characters that cooperate and care for each other. So number 8, I would substitute explaining how violence on a program is faked, just because if your kid's young enough, or whatever the case might be, trying to explain to them that it's fake and they're not doing it and they're still watching it on a continuous, I feel like it's going to be counterproductive, because the kid's going to, like I said, at a young age, that has a heavy influence on what kids see and what they hear. So you trying to explain to your kid that that's fake and they're just doing it just to do it, I don't feel like that's the right thing. Obviously, you want to teach your kids maybe about, I would substitute with teaching them when it comes to safety, whether it's gun safety, whether it's safety around water, i.e. wearing lifeguard vest, whatever that type of stuff. I would substitute the explaining how violence is faked with safety guidelines for your kids for what they're watching. Whatever the violence is, you have safety features, whether he's watching Rambo or whatever the case might be. Talk about gun violence, talk about gun safety, talk about that, and I feel like that'd be more beneficial for your children. And then encourage the children to watch programs that characters cooperate and care for each other. I'd substitute that. Like I said, kids are going to watch what they want to watch, and we can't force our kids to watch anything they're not going to watch. If they're talking to their friends in school and there's a new TV show out, they're going to want to watch it. The best thing you could do is go back to number 7 and watch the program, watch the episode, and then judge that. If you feel like your kids are going to be easily influenced by it, or possibly start showing signs of aggression, limit it. You don't necessarily have to take everything away. You just have to limit it, or keep their mind busy, whether it's playing with friends, going outside, whatever the case might be. Just try to. Like I said, I've always been the type that always wanted to go outside, but now today's day and age, a lot of kids want to stay inside. They play video games. There's a lot of big games out there, and this generation is moving towards wanting to be inside. A lot of kids aren't really the outdoors types, and especially wherever you are on the region, whatever region you're in, you might not have the weather. It might be snowy, it might be rainy. You might not want to be outside all the time. So playing video games inside is something that a lot of kids are gravitating towards. Like I said, those 8 guidelines, I think they're really good. I think some things, like I explained in the video, I would take out and substitute with something else. But it's definitely still good. It's still good guidelines, at least for a good foundation for parents to start to think about what their kids and how to control, and at least be able to monitor what they watch. Let's see. Also, I wanted to give a definition for what catharsis hypothesis, where the definition actually originated from. Okay, so also this site, I'll put the reference down at the bottom of my discussion board about where this is, but I found this was so catharsis theory. Acting aggressively or even viewing aggression is an effective way to reduce anger, feelings, and aggressive impulses. The word catharsis comes from a Greek word katharsis, which literally translated means cleansing or purging. The first recorded mention of catharsis occurred in Aristotle's Poetics. Aristotle taught that viewing tragic plays gave people emotional release from negative feelings such as pity and fear. In Greek drama, the tragic hero didn't just grow old and retire. He often suffered a violent demise. by watching the characters in the play experiencing tragic events, the viewer's own negative feelings were presumably purged and cleansed. This emotional cleansing was believed to benefit both the individual and society. So that's just the background of how far back the catharsis hypothesis, where the word came from, where it stemmed. It's been around for a long time, and this is all, of course, this is something that I do believe. If you want to compare it to, I know the book gave a reference example. So if a kid watches a movie with some sexual violence or sexual activities, that sexual aggression, comes out. But if the person's not able to actually act on it, it ends up just making them more aggressive and more sexually frustrated. So that's just an example of how, like, that I believe that hypothesis, actually, I would go with that, because I know that for some people, that's something that they really have to, that really can make them angry, and that can cause just people, that even if you want to go to like sexual assaults and sexual harassment, all that stems from aggression and built-in frustration and desire that those guys might be looking for, and they feel like they can just go out and do it to whoever they want. And of course, there's things leading up to that, and after a while it takes a person and they eventually just go out and do it. Some cases people just might go out and do it, but I know it takes some time before people get up to that. Like I said, there's two different types of aggression. You have the physical aggression, which is hurting someone's body, and then you have the social aggression, such as bullying and cyberbullying. That's just two different types of aggression that we tend to see in the kids nowadays. So if you want to look at how television and these media platforms influence our children's aggression and increase it, hurting someone's body. So that's just a bully at school, whether it's the big kid pushing the kid up against the locker and taking all his lunch money. And then you got the social aggression. So it might be the kid that doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere, and there's a bunch of people bullying him, whether it's on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, and, teasing the kid. That's all cyberbullying. And that can be from, some kids, just their aggression coming from whatever they watch, and they feel like they're going to take it out on somebody, and then they find that one kid that's vulnerable and doesn't really have a voice to say anything, and that's who they end up taking it on. And then in the book also, it says psychologists also make a distinction between hostile aggression, which springs from anger and aims to injure, and instrumental aggression, which aims to injure too, but is committed in pursuit of another goal. Both physical and social aggression can be either hostile or instrumental. And then, like I said, it just gives an example, pretty much like I was saying with the bully, bullying another kid. You just have to, it's something that I think is going to be around for a while, due to the fact that every year there's something new coming out that kids are going to do. Like I said, a lot of kids, all these different trends that come out, all these different video games, all these different TV shows, everyone, the amount of time, even if we're looking at how much time we spend just looking at our phone, how many hours a day we spend looking at our phone. It's the same thing the kids are doing. And kids nowadays are getting phones younger, they're getting tablets, they're getting stuff because parents are just too busy, and they want an easy way to be able to keep their kids content. And that's sometimes easy. Just have an iPad, have a little tablet you can pull out, put on whatever show it is, and then your kid's quiet. That takes away from the parents having to deal with the kid that's screaming, crying out for it. And then once the kid starts doing that every time, constantly is getting it, constantly is getting what he wants, that becomes what the kid needs in order to, the kids are going to start to realize, like, okay, if I cry and I scream and I do this, my parents are just going to give me this, because they know, okay, boom, I know I can keep my kid quiet with that. I went into Mod Pizza just to get lunch, and I seen a mom come in with her two kids. She had two tablets for both kids. She put their food out, propped up their tablets on both sides, and they both were watching their own little cartoon. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that parents have, it went from, if you look at how it was maybe in the 50s or 60s to when parents used to have to either read to the kids or whatever it was to keep their kids content. Look at how technology has fast forwarded to now you don't even have to do anything as a parent. I'm not saying nobody doesn't do anything as parents, but you have different ways of keeping your kids content, whether it's pulling out a tablet or iPad and just handing it to your kids and just saying, hey, look, there you go. You watch that and you'll be okay. So that's just something you need to look at. I also wanted to talk about a little bit of the short-term and long-term effects of the media violence and aggression that might happen. Here it says, most theorists would now agree that short-term effects of exposure and media violence are mostly due to 1, priming process, 2, arousal process, and 3, immediate mimicking of specific behaviors. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about what priming process, the 3 different processes. I'm going to talk about the first one, which is priming process. Priming process is the process through which spreading activation in the brain's neural network from the locus representing an external observed stimulus excites another brain node representing a cognition, emotion, or behavior. This external stimulus can be either inherently linked to cognition, the sight of a gun, or inherently linked to the concept of aggression, or external stimulus can be something inherently neutral, like a particular ethnic group that has become linked in the past to certain behaviors. So it's just explaining the process from how this information is being spread. And then next one is arousal. To the extent that mass media presentations arouse the observer, aggressive behavior may also become more likely in the short run for 2 possible reasons: excitation transfer and general arousal. So that's arousal. And then we're going to move down to mimicry. The third short-term process, imitation of specific behaviors, can be viewed as a special case of the more general long-term process of observational learning. In recent years, evidence has accumulated that human and primate young have an immediate tendency to mimic whomever they observe. So that's like what I was explaining about earlier with what's something a kid might see, they might mimic, or it becomes a habit to them, and it becomes part of their behavior. So if a kid's sitting there watching something violent every day with their dad or their mom sitting there, the kid's going to pick up on some of them cues and possibly start to exert violence towards, whether it's the parents, whether it's their dogs, whether it's their cat, whatever it is that the kid might be feeling, they might exert their anger towards them because of the fact that they've continuously been watching the same thing. So this is just the 3 processes for why the short-term effects of watching media. And long-term effects. Long-term effects, on the other hand, seem to be due for 1, observational learning of cognitions and behaviors, and 2, activation of desensitization of emotional process. I'm not going to dip into each of one of those because it's pretty lengthy. But in short, we are becoming more desensitized by the content that is out there. A lot of things that you wouldn't think kids watch are they're watching, and it's become just part of like the culture of how kids are raised. You know, they're raised from watching TV. They're raised from watching a lot of things that I might have watched when I was a teenager. There's kids watching that are 7 and 8 years old. So you have to look at how, as a teenager moving into adulthood, that we can differentiate what is right and what is realistic, or whatever the case might be. If you're a 7-year-old kid and you're watching something, you think you could do it. If you see somebody get stabbed in the back for whatever reason, it's not, the kid's gonna look at it like, okay, if I'm angry one day, I can just grab that and I can do this. If the parents aren't engaging their kids and telling them what's right and what's not, I think that's when you're gonna start to really see the aggression pick up. And also too, just explaining to your kids that, instilling morals and what is right, whatever it is. I don't think watching violent things are going to make a kid just all of a sudden hit the off switch. I think that it's a combination of that and how the kids are brought up and what their environment is, whether they have friends, whether they're doing a lot of extracurricular activities, going out. You know, you guys are traveling. You guys, I think a lot of that plays into the process of how a kid aggression levels may increase due to the TV and media platforms, because that's something that they have, and they believe that that's a part of them. You know, whether it's playing video games, they can take out a lot of anger, whether it's shooting the bad guy or blowing up whatever it is, that's their avenue. Compared to some kids who might go outside and play football, basketball, lacrosse, baseball, they're doing all that while that one kid's by himself, just in a dark room, playing this, and that's when he starts to relate. His reality starts to become that. So I think that's really important that parents engage their kids and watch what they do and check up and just have a conversation with them. You know, as they get older, they're gonna obviously know what's right and what's wrong, but just continuously, monitoring, watching them, and explaining to them what is right and what they should do. That's pretty much the end of my discussion today. I know it's a little lengthy. I was trying to. It's kind of weird. I never actually did a video discussion like this. Usually it would be like over, a bunch of us in a room or even on a computer talking. So it's kind of weird bouncing between the